Canada's Cody Crowley is one of the most exciting young fighters in the world, and he just picked up the biggest win of his career. Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show coming up. Our special guest today hails from Peterborough, Ontario. As an amateur, he was a two-time Ontario champion. He was a former Canadian amateur champion, a Canada Games champion. As a professional, he is undefeated as a welterweight with a record of 20-0 with 9 knockouts. He just beat the number 1 ranked challenger by the IBF. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program, Cody, the Crippler, Crowley.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Awesome to have you on the show, my friend. Yeah, it's great to have you here, my friend. So how you feeling after that big win?
You know what? I'm feeling just like after every other win. I knew what was gonna happen. I knew the result that would come. It was just a matter of time. I think it was just more of a surprise to everybody else. I was pretty surprised when I seen the betting odds. I was almost like a 4.5 to 1 underdog. And I was coming into this fight clearly like this guy was just a stepping stone for me. So it was definitely odd to see and hear the reactions from everybody else. But to me, it's just another day doing what I love to do. And I'm one step closer now to my ultimate dream, which is becoming a world champion.
Well, let's talk about your last fight. It was Kudratio Abdulkakarov of Uzbekistan, and as you mentioned, he was a
It's a
4.5 to 1
mouthful.
favorite in this fight. Yeah, it is a mouthful, but I've been practicing. Abdulkakarov, Kudratio Abdulkakarov. There you go. Let's see it 5 times fast. But here you were in Carson, California, the heavy underdog. This guy's 18-0. He's the number 1 ranked challenger by the IBF, and as you said, you're just going about your business, man. And people don't know who Cody Crowley is yet, but we certainly found that out. I mean, you had the nice win over Josh Torres before, but you know, it was a convincing decision over Abdulkakarov, although one judge had it. I think he had it 95-94 for you. It was unanimous. I don't know what fight he was watching. I mean, as we look back at this, there was, you had him in trouble in the second round, right? And it was clear that you had this fight under control. You got a little careless, though. You got a little sloppy, and that's where you buckled his knees in the second round, right? But then
and then I
you're
got
going in for the kill, and you got clipped, right? Would you call that just a little careless maneuver right there? But you got quickly back on your feet, and you were obviously a flash thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. All it was just I was off balance, and I got hit onto my heels. So it was just the angle of what I got hit on, and I tried to take a step back, but my leg, I was on my heels, so it just wouldn't work for me. So it made me look a little bit hurt, but I wasn't. And I wouldn't say, you could say careless, but I think what it was you were seeing the excitement inside of me of being out of the ring for 14, 15 months, and then the time before that being out of the ring for 12 or 13 months. So I've been out of the ring for so long, and I've been waiting for my opportunity to shine and be where I'm supposed to be. And I think, I couldn't run at it any faster. So that's why you were seeing me rush the fight. You were seeing me being a little bit careless. I'm just over enthused to be where I'm supposed to be. And I know that this guy was just a stepping stone. So I was kind of looking past him a little bit. And I knew that win was going to happen. So I was already living in the future past this win. So you could see that my head wasn't there quite as much as it should have been, but we got the win at the end of the day, and it's nice for people to see a little bit of adversity. No one's ever seen me get knocked down before. no one's ever seen me hurt or even look tired before. So to see me go and get clipped like that, and then have to get up and go to continue to be the underdog and be securing and winning the rounds goes to show that it doesn't matter what environment I get placed in, I'll always come out successful.
Well, you talked about shaking off the ring rust a little bit. I mean, it's been a long time between fights, but look at. I mean, you dominated this fight from start to finish. There was a one little mistake, maybe it looked like almost like a footwork thing. Like it was just like just a little bit of an off balance thing because you're like you said, you're rushing it. And to me, though, it's like completely overwhelmed this guy. He was clearly a beaten fighter after 10 rounds. To see one judge have it that close. The other two judges didn't have it close, but one judge did. As I said, I don't know what fight he was watching,
Yeah,
but
I
what a
knew we
nice win this was. Yeah.
I knew we won the fight from the press conference. As soon as I seen him there, I was able to read his energy and tell just exactly how much belief he had in him, and he thought that he was just coming to literally walk over a stepping stone. He didn't realize that he would have a real fighter in front of him that had more self belief in him than he had. And I was able to spot that right away from the very first exchange of words we had at the press conference. I set the tone, and he knew right then and there that he was going to lose. He picked the wrong fight, and that his team messed up. So I just kind of rode that wave the whole time. You'll see me smiling at him. You'll see me hugging him because there was zero intimidation factor. There was zero questioning what was going to happen. So I had nothing but respect for him, and I was just excited to go in there and do what I know I've been capable of doing for a very, very long time.
Well, you come a long way from Peterborough. I just want to touch briefly on your start in boxing. How did you get into the sport?
Yeah, I got started when I was, I want to say 13 or 14, just to stay in shape for hockey. Uh, it was getting to the time where, I was just, I, yeah, I was gaining weight. I wasn't really doing anything outside of hockey. So my dad put me in kickboxing to stay in shape for hockey. And that's how it started. Next thing you know, I lost my very first fight to a girl. It was 13 and 14, so it was co-ed karate/kickboxing tournament, and I got my butt kicked by her within like 30 seconds. And I think I was so embarrassed and ashamed of that. That really set a fire underneath me that I'm not going to let anybody beat me ever again. Um, and I got to thank that girl someday because she made the machine that a lot of people get to watch nowadays.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's. I'm sure that Mr. Abdikakarov would be really surprised to hear that you got beat when you're 13 years old by a girl in 30 seconds. He'd be really pretty surprised by that. I'm thinking, and as well as the next number of opponents you get. So let's you there was a time. I mean, I know you had some goals in your life, but there's a time when you had a bit of a setback. Touch on that a bit. I know I watched some of you read up about you, and you for a while there you seem to be sidetracked by other stuff, like for example alcohol, which I was when I was younger too, so I can relate to that. What was going on in your life at that particular time?
Um, I think that was when I took a break from boxing, because from such a young age I knew what I was going to do. I always knew that I was going to be a professional fighter. I knew I was going to go and leave the small town that I was in and place myself in the right environment to be successful. Um, so all through high school, I didn't really live high school that much. It was just always boxing, my whole entire life, weekdays, weekends, and as soon as I graduated, I booked a one-way ticket to Las Vegas, and I threw myself into the fire. I threw myself to the wolves to get eaten, And coming from Canada, where I didn't have very much high level boxing resources available to me, to just being my own coach, my own manager, and being thrown in with the Wolves, these guys who are world champions, who have all kinds of this experience over top of me. And I got my face punched in for the first 6 to 8 months every single day. And I finally just broke, and I called my mom and moved home. And I took a year and a half year a year and a half off all fighting, off working out. um, and yeah, I just got caught up in wasting time with the partying and the drinking. I knew that I wasn't going to not be a fighter, so I didn't waste my time getting a career or doing anything else. I was simply just I guess self-sabotaging myself for a bit of time, because I needed to grow more in order to be strong enough to withstand the obstacles that were being placed in front of me. So I just kind of took a little side step, um, and grew up as a kid a little bit, let the kid play, and then I stepped back in the driver's seat and took charge.
Well, I understand your girlfriend Taylor had something to do with you getting back in the driver's seat and taking charge and getting back to Vegas. Tell us what happened and what was the kind of the final decision on that.
Yeah, yeah. I remember clear as day. I just I was at a bar one night, and actually I seen her, met her at a bar for the first time, um, and everything was cool. And then weeks later, uh, she's like, "Well, what are you doing? Like every day you're just chilling on the couch, and then you go and have fun. Like, do you work or anything like that?" And eventually, she's like, "You got to do something. Like, I can't be around this. I can't deal with this. If I'm going to be with you, you got to do something." And she's like, "I heard you were a good fighter back in the day. In high school, everyone knew who you were. You were competing all over the place. Why don't you try and do that again? And I know that you have to move, and uh, in order to be successful, you feel that you got to go to Las Vegas. So I'll go with you, and I'll be that rock for you to have emotional support for." So when she made that decision, I went and got a job, and I worked at Holiday Ford in Peterborough for um, shoot, probably 6 months, and me and her saved up money, and then we booked a one-way ticket. We had a 10-year game plan. Come here from 21 to 31. Not gonna do nothing but eat, sleep, breathe boxing, and I will become world champion within those 10 years. And we're on year 7 now, and we're right there knocking on all the doors. So I think it's only a matter of time. I've been in the ring now with 20 plus world champions, who are the biggest stars in the world, who I do amazing with. I'm not going to get into too much detail in the sparring sessions, but I believe that there's a reason why I should be on top. I've proven myself, and it's about time that the world knows I'm a world champion.
Well, I know that you've done some training here. When you went to Vegas, you end up hooking up with Ibn Kaysen. Tell me about
Yes,
that situation. How you got hooked up with Ibn, and tell me about uh, how that relationship developed. How'd you end up with him and
that's
where you were?
that's the best salt and pepper duo in the boxing game. Um, I actually I first landed on Ibn's doorstep, basically, um, with the guy who was helping me out, trying to manage me at the time. He had a list of trainers. So the first trainer he got me to try out was Ibn, and I landed on his doorstep, and I was so fascinated by the way he was talking, the way he was reading fighters, the way he was breaking down the boxing, that this was the guy. Just and that was before I even trained with him. That was me just watching him, hearing him, listening to him. And then I trained with him, and I remember him telling that guy, "If you've invested any money in this kid, don't invest anymore. It's not worth it. There's no talent there. And I taught Ibn something because I ended up being the first person to the gym every day and the last person to leave, and I would outwork all of his fighters. And after a couple months went by, he started realizing that shoot, maybe the talent doesn't always win. I have these guys here who have all this God-given natural ability, and opportunities come and they're out messing around, they're dicking around, they miss this, they drop the ball on that. And this kid's just always here working and he's always ready and he's willing to listen. So, Ibn told me, he's like, I believe you can become a world champion. It might take you a little bit longer than expected due to you coming in a little bit late on learning your boxing abilities. You've been relying just on all your natural instincts and your brawling. So, in order for you to harness these boxing abilities, we're going to have to do it on our own time. So I made the promise with him right there. Um, and that's why when we signed to Top Rank with 2 fights and they tried to push us after 3, I had enough faith in Ibn to listen and leave that 5-year contract with a major promotional company because I believed in um, the team that me and him were creating and what it could produce if given enough time to really marinate and own its craft.
Well, once Ibn saw your drive, and it was clear that he was a believer. This is what he was recently. There was a piece that was done on you on W5. This is what he said. He kind of believes that you were good for boxing, as well as you were good at boxing, also good for boxing.
So whatever it is that I see him doing, if sometimes he's too hyped, he's too amped up, as in his last fight, he couldn't hear anything I was saying. It seemed like I had to calm him down. Cody, calm down. Listen, don't use your emotions. And then sometimes if a fighter's getting too lackadaisical, you gotta pump him up.
Now, Ibn Kaysen is the younger brother of Hasim Rahman. Rahman is the guy who knocked out Lennox Lewis to win the linear heavyweight title. The Rock had all the belts at that particular time. He would later win the title again. Now, both you and Rahman have the same manager, Steve Nelson, who's going to join us now. Steve, welcome to the show. Good to see you.
Thank you, Joe.
So tell me, what did you see in Cody, Steve?
Well, the first thing I noticed with Cody was when I visited him in the gym in Las Vegas to see a little bit of what he had to offer. And the one thing that stood out to me is he did a training workout with Ibn, and he was able to do 10 rounds of training without taking any type of break whatsoever. And I've never seen that in over 30 years in boxing. To be able to go 10 rounds and not take breaks in between each round is absolutely astounding. So one, I knew he had the ability to outwork anyone that he could ever fight. The other thing that I discovered by having some time to talk with Cody is that he's a unique individual. There are not many people like Cody Crowley in the world of boxing, and he has a lot to offer. He has a whole different viewpoint on the world, which I think is going to be a tremendous asset for him as he becomes bigger on the world stage. And when the world gets to know him, they're going to get to love him. So we just had our first big introduction to a worldwide audience. He passed the test with flying colors, and now everybody's calling and everyone wants to learn more about Cody Crowley.
Well, and Cody, I mean, we've all gone through some challenging times with this pandemic, but this, it certainly set you back. You had fights canceled. There was you had fought twice in basically almost 3 years. Steve, I want to ask you, how did Cody? Are you impressed with the way Cody's handled all this? The way he's been able to, be as sharp as he is, having undergone having gone through what he went through, what we all went through, I guess.
The past year has been so difficult for Cody Crowley, for Team Crowley, And as I tell everyone else, it's for people in all walks of life. We had many possible fights fall through. Of course, it's known that Cody had COVID in August. He lost the opportunity to fight for the world title, but he's also shown such perseverance, the ability to overcome all odds, all obstacles. With the layoff that he had, most people would not have had the performance that he had on Saturday night. But again, he was able to prevail. He was able to show the world that he belongs on the world stage. And now it's just a matter of positioning him. And there's no doubt in my mind that 2022, Cody Crowley will have his arm raised and he'll become champion of the world.
Cody, let's talk about that bout with COVID. How did that affect you in terms of training? How far did that set you back?
You know what? During training, I knew I was sick. I had a little bit of respiratory issues going on, but once again, nothing will get in my way. I remember I was waking up and I was throwing up in the morning and getting in the ring and still boxing 12 rounds because I wouldn't take no for an answer. Um, and unfortunately, even after a week and a half of continued training, getting ready for the fight, my pre-fight test right before tested positive. So unfortunately, as much as my will would allow me to keep going, um, rules and regulations wouldn't allow me to keep going. So that was a huge blow to me because nothing can knock me down. I can get through anything. So the fact that they just wouldn't physically allow me was, that pulled some strings on the heart. Having someone else tell you that you can't compete. So it was pretty sad, to be honest. I lost a big opportunity. Of course, I didn't work for a year before then, so I had no money coming in. So, when that happened, I I sold I had to sell my car right before then. So after that fight, this fight, I'm walking to the gym, just to go train. So it definitely it caused a lot of hurdles, which most people would quit and they would pack their bags and they would head home. But I'm a warrior, and I survive in environments where other people get destroyed. So I'm still here. I'm persevering it all. Now I have a car to drive to the gym. So you'll probably even see a better performance out of me.
It's nice to have that car back for sure. So, would you say now, looking back, that win over Abdulkakarov, was it worth the wait to get to where you are right here, right now?
Of course, of course. Everything has to happen. Um, I had to go through the things that I had to go through. I had to learn the lessons that I had to learn for me to be able to handle these next steps and these next adventures in my life. Um, some people will say even that fight was semi close, or they only seen, they thought they would see more out of me. Um, that was only a gear, just enough to win. Like I feel like I was only on gear 5 out of 10. Um, and the better opposition in front of me, the more that I have to tap into that will the more you'll see. So I'm not turning it into gears if I don't have to. Um, and I feel like that was needed to happen. The next competition will be another step up, and you'll see another gear come out of me. And that's just going to be another level of excitement also for the fans. When I think people can guarantee is that it's going to be exciting. There's going to be a lot of punches. There's not going to be a lot of running around. There's going to be me chasing and hunting, and there's going to be a lot of blood. So I make it very entertaining for the crowd, and that's what I want to bring. That's what I want to be. I don't want to be one of these fighters sitting around negotiating fights for a year just over money. That's not what the sport's about. The sport's about creating entertainment, not sitting there, fixing and focusing on your label and status. We provide entertainment for people who spend their hard-earned money. So I want to make sure that every time I fight, the person spending their money is getting every dollar that they spent worth.
I think you've been providing that all the way along, Cody. So you mentioned earlier you've had a chance to spar and work with a lot of like top name fighters. We know, of course, you also helped Floyd Money Mayweather get ready for his most recent fight, his last fight with Conor McGregor, and you sparred with him along the way. What kind of lessons did you learn from sparring with working with Money Mayweather, being around Money Mayweather?
Just that everybody has their own level of intelligence and their own perspective that they operate from. Floyd, when he's in the ring, he's playing a different game. That's why they say this is chess, not checkers. It's because Floyd's playing a different game mentally on his fighters. So I started to pick up on that. I started to adapt that into my own way of breaking opponents down. And then also, you've seen me kind of adapt some of those same ideas when I went and self-promoted and self-managed myself for most of my career. After the first time working with him, we really emphasized those ideas and really brought to life. And I feel like we brought boxing, we brought more life to boxing in Ontario back those couple of years that we were doing that. It made other people look to become promoters, to step up and think for themselves and try to expand the sport and expand the opportunities for other fighters in Ontario and Canada. So yeah, I'm just doing me and fighting one day at a time.
Okay, well we have a clip from Floyd talking about Cody.
That we saw here tonight. Do you think a humble Canadian can ever reach the heights that you've reached?
Well, I think being humble is really knowing where your blessings come from. It has nothing to do with because we talk loud and we outspoken. It has nothing to do with that. Being humble is knowing where your blessings come from.
All right.
And I wish Cody nothing but the best.
Cody, support him, and I'll be there. Floyd Money Mayweather.
I guess it's kind of nice to have that support, Cody, from a guy like Money Mayweather. It seems like you've
For
struck
sure.
up a pretty good friendship. What, Steve?
For
What do you
sure.
think about that relationship that Cody had with Floyd, and how valuable that was for his development as a pro?
I think that the fact that Cody had to work with Floyd and work with so many other champions gave him the confidence that he could go in and beat people, anyone in the world. Even right before this fight, Cody had time sparring with Sean Porter, who was preparing for Terence Crawford. Not only did Cody stand his own ground with Sean Porter, he dominated Sean Porter in the sparring sessions. And this is a guy that's fighting for the championship of the world, a guy who's so established. So working with people like Floyd and Sean Porter and so many other champions, Ugas, shows Cody and has given Cody the confidence that he can be and will be world champion.
What's okay? I want to ask you, Steve. What's next for Cody? He's been traveling this road towards a championship. What's in store next?
Well, as people are aware, Cody is now signed to Premier Boxing Champions, which is one of the two preeminent boxing companies in the world, along with Top Rank. Of course, PBC has all the welterweights, which is why Cody is at home there. He's now opened their eyes, and he's opened the eyes of the Showtime Network and TSN. So Everyone's looking to get Cody back into the ring sooner rather than later. What I can guarantee is that he's going to fight a very significant fight, whether it's a world championship next or just a major showcase. He's going to be fighting someone that the world has heard of. So there are names being talked about, including Adrian Broner, who's turned Cody down before, and I'm sure will turn him down again. We're talking about possibly Mikey Garcia, another former world champion. But it's going to be an opportunity given to Cody that people will be interested in, and it will move Cody that much closer to becoming world champion.
Cody, do you have a dream fight? Is there do you have a dream fight?
One of them that I've been picturing for a while has been against Spence. More so for the entertainment aspect and what it will provide for the people. I see that fight being basically two of the same stylistic of fighters coming forward and breaking their opponents down. So it's always going to be fireworks when you put those two fighters against each other, especially when you have so much on the line. A guy like Earl, who has that legacy of never backing up, of always pressing the fight, against a guy like me who has the will, who will literally die in the ring before stepping back. That's guaranteed to produce fireworks, and I think that's guaranteed to produce legacy fights that will be remembered for the future generations. So that's definitely a fight that I want, and quite frankly would be happy with fighting next. We know it's a crazy time in the world, so crazy things are happening, and that doesn't seem that crazy of a fight to make happen for me.
Well, it seems to me that you've been cast right into that mix now. I mean, that's where you are after being the number one ranked fighter by the IBF. The guy is ranked number 7 in the world by Ring Magazine. It's a pretty significant win, and you're right there, and you've got an amazing attitude. Anything, Cody, that you would like to accomplish, say outside of the ring? Is there anything that kind of your goal is, outside of the ring?
Yeah, I'm super passionate about humanity, super passionate about exploring consciousness, about helping and healing other people's bodies. I've had to go through a lot of health issues myself, so it hits home with me when anybody has a health condition. So one of the big things that I'm working on right now is my online nutritional business, helping people cleanse out their bodies, their vessels, to help increase their vibration and their levels of consciousness. So I actually have my next group transformation starting on January 3rd for New Year's resolutions. So that's something that I'm taking a lot of time on. I'm aiming to help 100 people personally with one-on-one help starting January 3rd. So if anybody would like to get in on this 30-day ultimate lifestyle transformation, help them personally get off processed food, any chemicals, and get back to a more organic, whole foods lifestyle, while feeling better, losing weight, and looking better. Please reach out, give me a DM. I would love to help you guys in any way I can.
What about your social media handles, Cody? How can somebody
social
follow you?
media. You guys can find me. Super simple, Cody Crowley Boxing. I'm not really on Facebook too much, just Instagram. Reach out, shoot me a DM. I try and connect with everybody and anybody, whatever space you're in. I'm sure we can accommodate and connect and work something out somehow. So reach out, let's collaborate and connect and see what we can create.
Well, Cody, we'll be following you all the way along to the next level and the next level after that, and we're looking forward to seeing that fight with Errol Spence Jr. or whoever else comes along. And exciting times ahead, and congratulations once again on a fantastic win. And despite the ring rust, you looked pretty damn awesome. I saw the Hunter all the way through that fight. It was pretty good and pretty impressive. Also, let us know next time you're in town. Southern Ontario, Peterborough area, whatever, and we'll grab a nice healthy lunch, and we'll take you for some clothes at. We'll go see Jeff at Classic Imports. He'll have some exciting, fantastic new Italian threads for you. So it'll be good. And
Perfect.
Steve,
Sounds
thank
good.
you for being on the show. Yeah. Thanks for being on the show here, Steve, as well. And good job with Cody. And you and Ibn are doing a fine job with this young man. And we're really proud of him and really proud of the work you guys are doing. And keep it up.
Thanks, Joe. You're going to see a lot of Cody Crowley in 2022. That much I promise you.
And as boxing fans, we are certainly looking forward to that. We'll see you soon.
Take care.
Hey, I'm Canadian rocker Tommy Gunn, and you got more Joe Tilley sports coming up.
Guests on Joe Tilley Sports receive a gift certificate from Classica Imports. Top of the line imported men's clothing. Check out the Classica Essential Collection now. Go to shopclassica.com.
When I'm working out, I like to wear my Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show t-shirt. It makes me feel handsome and strong. If you want a t-shirt, support the show, click on the link below. Now, back to my workout. 1,761, 1,762, 1,763, 1,764.
Addiction Rehab Toronto, Toronto's #1 alcohol and drug treatment center, saving lives, reuniting families. The only treatment center in the province to offer medical detox, treatment, sober living, and lifetime aftercare all in one place. Our unique and specialized programs are designed to equip our clients with the tools to successfully lead a life of dignity, respect, and purpose. Let us help save your life or your loved one's life. Call today for more information or to facilitate an intervention. 1-855-787-2424 or visit addictionrehabtoronto.ca. Joe Tilley Sports is brought to you by COSA, Central Ontario Standardbred Association, providing a united voice for harness horse people racing at Ontario tracks. Check out your benefits today at COSAonline.com and check out COSA TV on Facebook and YouTube for all the latest harness news and live action updates. Live racing year-round. Go to HPIBet.com for all your wagering options. Become a member today and your first bet is free. That's HPIBet.com.
Week's harness news, we're paying tribute to a horseman from Western Canada. Nathan Sobey is one hot tamale, 5th in the country with a 448 universal trainer rating. He's 6th in Canada for driving with a percentage of 371. Now, as a trainer, Sobey has won with 65 horses from 234 starts, along with 51 seconds and 33 thirds. As a driver, Sobey has 64 wins from 278 outings. He also finished second 46 times and third 41 times. So Nathan Sobey is almost always in the money, and he just turned 30 years old. Sobey was voted Alberta's top horseman, with 4 horses entered as top candidates for year-end honors. Icy Blue Scooter, seen here, Exotic Dragon, Divine Art, and Sometime Somewhere. Some of the horses that are trained, driven by Nathan Sobey. By the way, Icy Blue Scooter just picked up his 8th win of the year at Century Mile in Edmonton. Well done, Nathan Sobey. For all the racing updates, visit COSA TV on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and go to HPIBet.com for your wagering options. Time now for the Rycom Wrap, sports news that's close to home. Yes, it's time for the Rycom wrap as we close on the halfway mark of the season. Closing in on the halfway mark of the season, it's time for our midterm assessment of the local teams. We start with the Maple Leafs. There's plenty to like about this team, despite missing their top playmaker. The Leafs are a team that can find the back of the net. The power play is solid again. The penalty kill is the best it's been in years, and it's going to be even better with the return of Mitch Marner. Now, defensively, they managed to stay strong despite the loss of Rasmus Sandin, who could be back sooner than expected. Jack Campbell is looking like a Vezina Trophy candidate. I really like what we've seen from the soup kitchen. Peter Mrazek seems to be a capable backup, and we've seen some positive signs from people like Joseph the Great Wall of Bay Street. The local hoops team is hanging in there. Yeah, I'm quite impressed, actually, when you think about this young Raptor side. Now, we've had low expectations of this team from start to finish. They've been hammered by injuries, but they're hanging around the 500 mark, staying pretty close to it, despite the loss to the Nets. They did beat the Knicks. Spicy P is rounding into form. Scotty Barnes is terrific. Gary Trent Jr., wow. And Fred VanVleet is one of the league's premier point guards. That's all there is to it. These guys get in the playoffs, and they might just surprise some people. We close with a look at the folks who make this show possible. These are friends, trusted business associates, and all-round great folks. A reminder that the show is available on Spotify, iTunes, Breaker, Radio Public, Google Podcast, and Pocket Cast, as well as the Spanglish Network and Zingo TV. Also, like and subscribe to the show on YouTube. Thanks once again to Cody Crowley, the Crippler, for being on the show. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week when Sean Thornton, Enforcer Extraordinaire, drops by. We'll see you then. Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show is brought to you by
Brian Gribben Insurance Planning, helping you solidify your financial future.
At BGIP, what we do that's unique in the marketplace is we show people how to spend and enjoy their money in their early years of retirement without the fear of running out. Also, we're able to do this without you having to change financial advisors. Please look us up at bgip.ca today, and let's book a 30-minute phone call to see how we can bring value to you and your family in your planning.
Call Brian today for all your retirement needs. We did. 905-686-5678. Brought to you by MNP, a leading Canadian national accounting, tax, and business consulting firm. MNP proudly serves and responds to the needs of our clients in the private, public, and non-for-profit sectors. Through partner-led engagements, MNP provides a collaborative, cost-effective approach to doing business and personalized strategies to help people and organizations succeed across the country and around the world. With local offices in Oshawa, Toronto, Mississauga, Burlington, and more, our team is here to support you. Visit mnp.ca to learn more. Hi, I'm Joe Tilley, and I want to tell you about the painting pros. Patrick and his crew recently came into my home, and they painted the walls, they added some color. It's fantastic, and I can't be more satisfied with the work they did. That crew is tremendous. They were professional, they were courteous, they were respectful, and they did a fantastic job. Look at that. Look at that color. I just can't stress enough how satisfied we truly are with Patrick and his crew. For all your painting needs, go with the pros. You know, if I'm going to a public place or visiting a friend, I like to be safe and styling. That's why I put on my Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show mask.
Come on in.
If you want to support the show, pick up a mask, click on the link below.